All right. Hello there. This is D. Orlando Ledbetter with the Tie Sports Podcast today. Excuse me for that rough intro. The Tie Sports Podcast today, episode 7. The title of this episode is Falcons Pressing On to Mandatory Minicamp. Had a big trade today. The Falcons traded their 6th-round pick to the Chiefs for offensive tackle Wanya Morris. Morris has started 16 games there, played in 43, 25, upside 6'6", 307. Played at Grayson High, and the Falcons, are looking for a right tackle. They acquired Jawan Taylor earlier on in the offseason, and now must be concerned about the depth at that position as they pick up Wanya Morris, a former 3rd-round pick by the Kansas City Chiefs on Thursday here. We brought you all in the last episode. We brought you a preview of the NBA Finals, and our guy Rob Warren has been on the money. He called the Knicks in 6. They're up 3-1 now, so he's looking pretty good for a 6, maybe Knicks in 5. Game Saturday night, and then going to next week if San Antonio could pull it out after blowing that 29-point lead. So, yeah, Warren had it on point. The Falcons made a trade. But now, today is the last day of OTAs out there for the Falcons, and we, got a little casual. We're going to dispense with the bow tie for this episode and go through some of the Falcon points here for you. And then we got to look at a couple other things for the Falcons. The Falcons will do that. And we got the defensive spending around the league. We'll do a quick trip around the NFC South. And an article from our good friend Ben Volen caught our attention about the quarterback situation and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He was referring to Russell Wilson. So we'll deal with that. And then we'll end with some quick hitters. Salute to our inductees to the Black College Football Hall of Fame here in Atlanta over the weekend. And so we'll get into that. But first, we're going to start off with the Falcons. And a big deal over the last week has been signing Drake London, the wide receiver. Got a 4-year extension up to $150 million if he gets everything. But certainly they had to lock him up moving forward. He was very patient with the Falcons because they, money was kind of tied up, and Kirk Cousins had to get that situation taken care of. They did earlier in the offseason with that. And now you can see the Falcons starting to solidify the foundation of the team, at least on the offensive side of the ball moving forward. So Drake London signed his deal on Monday and had agreed to the deal last week. So locking up the receiver here for an additional 4 years. So now with that done, you got to look at some of the other things the Falcons got to do moving forward. Bijan Robinson's contract would be the next one, and we put some numbers on that last week on the Cover 99 blog. You can look at what the top running back deals look like. Saquon Barkley being the top of the line there. So we saw what Kenny Walker got this offseason. Kenny Walker III, had to leave Seattle to get a payday. So, the Falcons will be up next with paying Bijan. Will he how close will he get to the Barkley, or will he surpass Barkley when he gets that? Now his agent's Nicole Lynn of Clutch Sports, so they are the very best agency out there. One of them, Athletes First and CAA are out there too, but Clutch is doing a great job, and that'll be the next mega big deal for the Falcons moving forward. Now they bought them some time with Kyle Pitts, and Kyle Pitts signed the franchise tag. So, but they still got to be saying, hey, can you do that again? And Coach Kevin Kohler spoke to the media this week and discussed, how Kyle self-awareness helped him salvage last season. Now they want to see if he can just play the whole season and at what level can he play. And the tight end market will be set, moving forward. Trey McBride got a big deal out there, and so we'll see what Kyle, if he can continue to play at a high level, where are you going to pay him at moving forward? Or, you can't tag him another year, of course. But those would be the next two deals coming up. But it came to my attention, Derwin James' deal got done. Well, hey, what do you do with Jesse Bates? Derwin's up there now, and this was kind of petty. His deal averaged 25.2 just to pass Kyle Hamilton's 25.1 deal. And so, the safety market's set with those two guys now. Jesse's at 16 APY, average per year. 16 in the last year of that 4-year, $64.0 million contract. So do you lock up Jesse? You got Xavier Watts coming. So, do you want to keep that together and move forward with it, with the back end of your defense secure? Or, does that money got to go to Bijan? So, what's Jesse Bates' situation going into the last year of his contract, given the Derwin James deal out there? Now, Derwin's was 375.6 with the 25.2 APY, which topped Hamilton's. And then, of course, Bates is at 1605. So those are our opening Falcon notes. We're going to take a little break here, and we'll come back, and we'll move into our defensive spending chart.
The Bowtie Files is proudly presented by the Fears Group at Morgan Stanley in Atlanta. Led by Sonia Balfour Fears, certified financial planner, the Fears Group helps athletes, entertainers, and families build wealth that lasts beyond the headlines. With retirement planning, philanthropy, and global sports and entertainment expertise tailored to your stage of life. Map your future with a team that takes the long view. Call 470-449-0812 or visit advisor.morganstanley.com/The Fears Group. The Fears Group at Morgan Stanley, supporting your goals every step of the way.
All right, dear Orlando Ledbetter, we're back here at bowtiesports.com website and Bowtie Sports Podcast. Chart came out last week, caught our attention, defensive spending chart. The Falcons are in the can't really tell because teams built differently, but the Falcons are clearly spend their money on the offensive side of the ball. They are 24th of 32 in defensive spending, and that number is 119.6, 24th in the league. The top spending team on defense is the get this, Pittsburgh Steelers, Steel Curtain. And they are up there at $193 million. Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks are 7th at 159.6 on defensive spending. So that got me to thinking, it's like, hey, what about the NFC South? Who's spending money on defense in the NFC South? And the Panthers, who are the reigning champs of the 8-9 group last year, they are the number one spenders at 145.5. And then the Bucks are second at 127.6, followed by the Falcons at that 119.6, and then the Saints in last at 100.6 million on the defensive spending. So now that's probably not going to change moving forward, because they got Bijan coming up. You get the quarterback situation settled, and then you might have to get into the quarterback market, which also changed this week with Patrick Mahomes getting a 2-year extension. The average for the quarterback is 64 million now, and so that's where we're going to talk about the Baker and Mayfield and the Bucks, and where you should pay him. There's a big discussion. Our guy Rand Carthon was on Sirius XM today saying, hey, probably, that people he wants to get probably past Daniel Jones is 40 million, and somewhere Deshaun Watts is 50 million, which was an outlier deal for the quarterback. So Rand Carthon was like, hey, I give him 46, 45. And then, maybe some incentives in there for, hey, if you reach a conference championship game or reach the Super Bowl, we'll give you the rest and give you up to 50 to get past Deshaun. But yeah, so the quarterback money, start putting your mind around that as if the Falcons do settle this, if it is Penix or if it's not Penix, then they go back into the market and draft Arch Manning or somebody. And, then they can kick that quarterback can down the road, spin on the defense, because you got offensive weapons now. You got London, and you're going to have to lock up Bijan, and you got to try to upgrade the line as you go to more blocking, gap zone blocking situation there. So the defensive spending, that was interesting to us. Also, we saw the Jarvis Landry podcast with him and Leonard Fournette. I got the name for you, called Fourth and South with Jarvis and Leonard Fournette. They had former Falcon Justin Simmons on there. You can Google that. It's worth a look. He didn't think the Browns did a good job of developing Baker. And he said, look at Baker now, which is, the whole Cleveland situation with Coach Stefanski and Baker and Baker resurrecting. We won't have to get back into that. But they discussed that a little bit there. He's got something about left-handed quarterbacks. Simmons was cool with Sean Payton and how he was released, and then he was also cool with the Falcons. And he don't know that he said the offense just went haywire that year when they started 6-2. The defense didn't do enough to help them out, but the team was built to score points, and they weren't scoring them. So that's the year where Cousins gets benched and Penix takes over with 3 games to go. But yeah, Justin Simmons, a cool pro here in Atlanta. Looks like he's done now and moving on and getting used to the retirement life. So, with the OTAs wrapping up and, mandatory minicamp next week, the big issues are still the quarterback situation, James Pierce's situation, and Billy Bauman. Billy Bauman is not ready to come back, according to Coach Stefanski, hitting the markers, but not ready yet. The quarterback battle was interesting that Coach Alex Van Pelt said that, can't have a competition till Penix is back in 11-on-11. So there's no competition right now. So if you're playing tomorrow, you're playing with Tua at quarterback. And so I expect that to be the situation over the offseason. They got to prepare like he's going to be the guy. And Penix has got to keep doing his rehab. The 9-month marker, remember, they won't give us a timeline because they're hoping he beats some markers and so forth. But the doctors we talked to when this happened said 9 to 12 months. Okay, and he's gonna have the best treatment. So we're figuring 9 months is the date. So the 9-month date is August 25th. Okay, they come back to camp like July 20-something. So if he's out there in drills and 11-on-11, which they could, he's in 7-on-7 now. If he's out there, that'll be at the 8th-month mark. So that would be absolutely good news for the Falcons. If he hits the 9-month marker, then that's normal. That would be August 25th. They don't play September 13th. I guess that's enough time to have a competition. So the earlier you can get back, sooner the competition can start. But for right now, you kind of got to, if you're playing tomorrow, you got to look at it like, hey, if we're going out tomorrow to play the Steelers, who's our quarterback? And it would have to be Tua right now because Penix isn't cleared. So until that clears up, there's no quarterback battle. Get ready for Tua, and then get ready for Penix's clearance. Now, the James Pierce situation, nothing new there. Just kind of waiting to see how the league handles it. We are anticipating that, the league, they go by, precedent. They'll look at this legal case and decide the suspension accordingly. So I would think the Falcons would want to know as soon as they can on how many games he's going to be down. and so forth. I think completing this program will probably help his case. The program that he's in Florida, that would probably help his case with the league office also. I'm sure he's going to have to sit down with the powers that be in New York and talk his case through with them too. So that's the big thing there, just kind of what's going to happen with him and his suspension. Do you want it early? You want to know, I think, as soon as you can. You don't want to be getting into the season and he's getting revved up and they're going good and then they sit him down. I don't think that'll happen, but that's the situation with James Pierce. Our good friend Josh Kendall at The Athletic asked Coach Kevin, hey, are you expecting him next week at mandatory minicamp? And we'll hit up his agent, Tory Dandy, to see if he can let us know if he's coming or not, too, in the meantime. I need to fire that text off. But Coach Stefanski said he'll worry about next week. So that means that tells me he doesn't know if he's coming or not. If he's coming or not, he said, oh, yeah, James will be here. Boom. He didn't have to go next week on us, but that's what he did. That's kind of where we're at with that situation. So just remember the QB battle, James Pierce situation, and then Billy Bauman and, a couple other guys, Trice is out there. We haven't heard of anything on Troy Anderson. But that is your update and your situation with the Falcons. When we come back here from break, we're going to get into we're going to take just a quick spin around the NFC South, some of the big issues there.
Looking for a night that actually feels like one? Step into the Patio Social Club, Atlanta's destination for sultry music, stirring conversation, and a one-of-a-kind open-air cigar lounge where time slows down and every conversation lands a little deeper. Inclusive excellence is in everything they do. Reserve your spot tonight. Call 470-815-1860 or find them online. The Patio Social Club. Escape, unwind, and take the night somewhere different.
All right. If you get by there, ask for our guy, George Gallman. Tell him you are listening to the Tie Sports Podcast. Maybe get a discount on your cigars or your beverages over there. We're back, and just want to talk to you all about just a quick spin around the NFC South. Kind of got to pay attention to what they're doing down there in New Orleans, Tampa, and up 85 there in Charlotte. The big thing, we talked about the quarterback situation and the contract money. That's the deal with Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. He's made good on the deals they've given him. Now, Rand Carthon was making a good point here that, hey, yeah, he's, got them to the division titles, taking them to the playoffs, hasn't been to, a conference championship game or the Super Bowl. So he would incentivize Baker, get him over Daniel Jones, maybe don't pass Deshaun Watson, and you're not going into Patrick Mahomes' neighborhood. So he's in a, pretty good spot for a couple-year deal, maybe a 2-3 year extension. Put him, Carthon wanted the former GM of the Titans, wanted to put him in, former Falcon scout, wanted to put him in the 45-46 range today. And then maybe give him some incentives like, hey, if you take us to the championship game, we'll go take us to the Super Bowl, we'll throw some more in there. So that's the big deal down in Tampa right now. Say what to do with Baker Mayfield moving forward. His contract, he's made good on the revival deal that he got down there. So do you take care of him going into the season? Rand said, yeah, I want to get it done before we go into the season. I don't want it lingering into the season. You don't need your quarterback upset. So try to take care of him, get that done. They got some time now before the training camp to work on that. But that's your big issue down in Tampa Bay. Now, I've been following the Saints. Big deal last week was when Alvin Kamara showed up at OTAs, and he hadn't done that in a while. So, his big deal is, they probably, hey, you're going to probably have to share the position. he doesn't want to leave. And they're gonna probably want pay cut. That's even tough. But 11.5 is what he's supposed to make, and they probably, that's starter Saquon money is 20 million, so he's half of Saquon, so he's probably thinking 11 is okay. The Saints probably want to get it down to 6 or 5, but we'll see what the cut is, and we'll keep an eye on that because Alvin's from here, Norcross High, played here, and then before he went on to Alabama and Tennessee. So we'll keep a watch on that one. Now, the other, up in Carolina, it's like, hey, what do you do with Bryce Young at the quarterback position? He was benched just a couple years ago, took him to the title last year. If you just go off his Falcons games, you're going to pay him a lot of money because he tends to have he's had a couple good games against the Falcons here in the last couple of years. So that's what the Panthers have to weigh. Hey, where do we pay him at? How do we move forward? Is this working? Certainly got to the playoffs. We're down to the 2-minute warning against the Rams. Had a chance to pull that one out. So there's some pros to moving forward with Bryce Young. Certainly for the Panthers, and we'll see where that goes as it moves forward. So that's our quick wrap up of the NFC South, Baker Mayfield in Tampa, what to do with Kamara in New Orleans, and then Panthers got to make a decision on how they move forward with Bryce Young. We're going to hit another break here, and then we're going to come back and going to discuss this article from our good friend Ben Volen in the Boston Globe.
When the stakes are high and the deadline is real, you need a partner who can move the work forward. When the stakes are high and the deadline is real, you need a partner who can move the work forward. That's Marietta Project Management, LLC. Specializing in expert corp-to-corp project management, MPM helps companies deploy solutions, manage change, and deliver results without the chaos. From scoping to handoff, they own the outcome. Visit MariettaPM.com to start the conversation. Marietta Project Management. From plan to delivery, done right.
All right, we're back here at the Tie Sports Podcast and want to discuss this article. Ben still does the old school notes all around the league stuff at the Boston Globe, so we subscribe there and can stay on top of things with him. But he wrote that the quarterback room at the Hall of Fame is, getting messy. It's gonna get messier moving forward because it's gonna be tough. It's always tough, but Ben said Russell Wilson, who's going to be retiring and going into the broadcast booth, he said Russell deserves a bust. Wilson also has the numbers. He's 16th in career passing yardage, 46,966, and 12th in touchdowns at 353, with every eligible player above him on the list already in the Hall. Wilson also had 4,000-yard passing seasons and rushed for 5,588 yards and 31 touchdowns, and as one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the 2010s. Okay, the last 4 seasons weren't kind to Wilson as he flopped in Denver and then petered out in Pittsburgh and New York. But if the voters, and he's not one, I am a voter, but I'm just being neutral here. He's like, I'm not one. Put the quarterbacks, but if the voters, he's not one. Ben Volen's not one. Puts quarterbacks in like Fran Tarkenton, Dan Fox, and Warren Moon in the Hall of Fame. And if they're considering Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers, and Eli Manning, then Wilson deserves a bronze bust. Okay. Eli's been a finalist twice. Matt Ryan's not up yet. Phillip Rivers was coming up, but then he went back and pushed his window back 5 years. So he's going to be way out there with guys that are playing now. So some of the other guys that are not in that are on various lists, Randall Cunningham is not in. He got moved to the seniors list this offseason. Donovan McNabb, Steve McNair are not in. Russ just retired. Manning's been a 2-time finalist. I don't know. It's kind of like Russ, too. He got big numbers, got 2 Super Bowls, a big dip in his career. But yeah, Eli is not in yet. And so, he brought up Matt Ryan. That'll be a couple more years. Rivers is down the road. Eli could be sitting there. And then and Russell could come. And then there's also Cam Newton. So we've got Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton are coming up. Aaron Rodgers said it's this last year. And so of that group, are there any slam dunks in that group? But, as a voter, we'll keep an open mind to that. And, Russell will get his due considerations. Now, some of the seniors list it's pretty amazing names that, play good quarterback ball, but are not in there. And that's Burt Jones, Jack Kemp, Dave Craig, Don Meredith, Errol Morrow, Craig Morton, Phil Simms, and Doug Williams. I think Doug's going to have a shot as a contributor for his historical win in the Super Bowl. So with that, we wanted to talk about that because, Matt Ryan's coming up. I think, part of the case will be how quickly he had to turn things around and what he's meant to the city. You're not supposed to take into account off the field things, but, his record will be in that, argued in that room and presented in that room and due time. I didn't research the year, but it's 5 from when he retired officially. I think he waited a year. He should have retired as soon as he got cut from the Colts, but he didn't do that. So, that's where his situation is. So we got one more ad to play. We want to thank our sponsors here, Morgan Stanley, the Fears Group. Hit them up. We want to thank the Patio. Stop by and visit over in Smyrna or over in Snellville. Let George Gallman, the owner, know that you supporting the Bow Tie Sports Podcast and get you a little discount there. We've got Marietta Management Property, and they can take care of your IT needs. And then we got our niche veteran recruiting service, and we're going to hear from them here right now.
This episode is brought to you by Niche Vet Reverse Recruiting, built by a 30-year technical recruiting veteran and physical AI insider. Stop sending applications into the void. Niche Vet flips the model. Qualified physical AI employers come to you. If you're ready to stop applying and start getting hired, visit physicalipros.com/reverse recruiting.
All right, yeah, some of them quarterbacks I left off. Ken Anderson, of course, he was almost in last year, senior committee. We mentioned Randall Cunningham, Robin Gabriel, and John Hadel. So that quarterback room and people not being in is pretty, it's pretty good folks on that list. So we're going to wrap up here this week with the Bow Tie Podcast, just with some quick hitters. I want to give a salute to the enshrinees in the Black College Football Hall of Fame this past Saturday. Our good friend Steve Weiss went in as a contributor. He's been doing a lot of good work with the Black College Hall of Fame for the last 17 years here, and been the MC, helped them get information. So he went in. And congratulations, Steve, class of 89, Howard University, HU, good to see the guys, doing their thing from the program. Eddie Robinson Jr., the Alabama State coach, went in. Our good friend Tyrone Poole from Fort Valley State University went in. Tyrone did a lot of work in the community over here in Smyrna, helping us with the kids in Little League. And we used to do the Real Talk sports show with Reverend Simmons with him a lot. So good. Congratulations to Tyrone. Nick Collins from Bethune-Cookman. Only problem I had with him is why the Packers let him wear 36 after Leroy Butler. But Nick is in, and Coach Rudy Hubbard. He should have been. Rudy's a historical figure. He played at Ohio State, coached with Woody Hayes. Should have been the first black coach in the Big Ten before Dan Green went to Northwestern, but he didn't. So in that FAMU, he went home to. He coached high schools in Tallahassee. They had some dynamite teams for the Rattlers down there in Tallahassee. Coach Rudy Hubbard, glad he was 79, so it was good to see him, be out there and get his award. And wide receiver Jimmy Smith from Jackson State played with the Jaguars, did his thing. He was in the class also. Now, also the Friday before the ceremony, it was announced that the Legacy Bowl will be moving from New Orleans to Atlanta. And everybody, New Orleans and Atlanta people fight over everything. So it made sense to move it to Atlanta because there are 50 colleges. I want to make sure I get this right. There are 50 HBCUs within driving distance of Atlanta. When you think about the Carolinas, Fayetteville States, and Livingstone, John C. Smith, that's a 4-hour drive for them. Alabama State, that's a 2-hour drive for them. Huntsville, that's 4. So, when you think about the people that could come to the career job fair and stuff, they're in driving distance now. And that career fair is going to be on Friday, February 26th. And the bowl game will be on Saturday, February 27th at Park Stadium at Georgia State. So that was pretty big news coming out before the ceremony. So that was, market dates for that. Then also big college news, this whole Brandon Sorsby gambling thing. It's a disease. I mean, I covered Art Schlichter late in his career. He's with the Cincinnati Rockers. He had already been to jail and had already, it was a lot going on. And he still would go to the racetrack. So, but I don't know. You watching the games and stuff now. You watching the NBA games, and it's every commercial is a DraftKings. Then you got the personalities giving their picks and stuff. So the kids are confused on what's illegal betting and what's not. But yeah, certainly the marker's always been don't bet on your team. And I've been covering this. I had Pete Rose case in Cincinnati. Art Schlichter still going to the Speedway case. And then we had the Calvin Ridley situation here in Atlanta, which, allowed us to go back into the history of, you can go all the way back to Kennesaw Mountain and the Black Sox. You got all the gambling scandals throughout history, starting with that one, all the way up to today. So we don't know. We'll keep an eye on that. What about we did the boycott show with Jonathan Hollifield and Terry Harris. One of my colleagues called up and said, "Hey, you should have told him you used to teach in the SEC." So yeah, full disclosure, I taught at Georgia for 9 years. But the SEC, the boycott is moving forward. Even the SEC has hired PR firms to help them. People are just saying, the NAAC is saying, be wise and with your choices. So, yeah, that was full disclosure. I guess I should have told y'all that. And then if you got some time, go hit Sports Brothers. Our guys, Branson Wright and Delvis Valentine, they just had a big show up there with Joy Taylor coming on YouTube. You can find that show on Branson and Delvis or Cleveland homies up north. And they have a sports podcast called Sports Brothers. And it's Father's Day is coming up. And one of the books out there I would recommend for you by Andrew Brandt, former GM, exec with the Packers, former agent, had Randy Fataha, then went across the street and went to the teams. But he's a professor now, and you read his stuff on sports, one of the leading sports business commentators out there. And all I know, the book is Smarter About Sports, My Life Navigating Athletics, Agents, Media, and the Business of Football. I know I was always smarter when I got done talking with Andrew over the years, who helped with the salary cap and explain all of those good things. So that was it for us this week, episode 7, on top of 472 Bowtie Chronicles podcast. We are coming to you here from bowtiesports.com. Go to the website, subscribe, become a sponsor. And, just wrapping up today, we went over the Falcons, getting ready for mandatory minicamp. The defensive spending, how, can you draw a line to winning on how much you're spending on defense? Did a quick trip around the NFC South. Talked about the Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback situation. From right now, being Volan of the Boston Globe thinks Russell Wilson deserves a bust in Canton. That's going to be debated in years to come, and some of the other quarterbacks that are playing now. So the problem is, Terry Bradshaw had 4 rings. Joe Montana, 4 rings. People won Super Bowls. Now you're seeing a lot of 1 ring. Maybe he got there, maybe he didn't win it. Russell had 1, should have had 2. Tom Brady's going to walk in. Aaron Rodgers probably. Russell got to Eli sitting there with 2 rings. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens at the quarterback position moving forward. But with that, we're going to ask you to, give us a shout. Download the Bowtie Sports app on your phone. Just get into one of the stories. Go scroll down and, add it to your phone so you can get all your news and updates on the Falcons and the NFL on your phone through the Bowtie Sports app. So with that, we're going to get out of here and probably going to kick back for a little bit after, nothing happens at mandatory minicamp. Then take a couple weeks off and get to the other side of the 4th of July and then start gearing up for training camp with our position by position series and so forth. So with that, we're going to ask you to take care and have a great rest of your week. So we get out of here at the Bowtie Sports Podcast.